high above Beaver Stadium on a now Sunday morning. Andrew Callista, Mike Gross from the Gross Rational Product. I, of course, from the Blue White Tailgate Podcast, as well as Mike. And Mike, not the outcome that a lot of Penn State fans dreamed would be taking place, especially with the electric atmosphere here an hour before kickoff, really all day in Happy Valley. This stadium was rocking as Penn State goes down, though, 30-24. It's a lot of the same things that we've seen in the past from Penn State, though.
This was an incredibly bad performance for 3+ quarters by their offense. I thought the defense did a heck of a job against one of the country's best and hardest to play against offenses. I thought they were on top of it. I thought Jim Knowles had them really well prepared. I thought when Oregon did get a little bit of an opening, Penn State had the speed and the tackling ability to close the gaps, and I thought they were really, really good. Oregon did have more favorable down and distance most of the game, so they weren't in 3rd and 9 and that kind of thing, which is one of the things that James Franklin talked about. But the offense and a late rush, they kind of incredibly, with a little bit of offense down the end, maybe Oregon's defense got a little bit tired toward the end. It went right down to the wire and, of course, went double overtime, and it ends on Drew Allar throwing an interception. A crazy night. There's so many ways to look at it, but I think going forward, the big story is Penn State's got to get better offensively.
Defensively, right, second 2 series in, Jim Knowles was on his game. You could see the way Penn State was flowing. Multiple guys getting to the ball. Yes, there were some missed tackles that led to Oregon having some big plays.
But given their quickness, not a ton of them.
No, it wasn't something, and we've seen in the past, it'd be jarring when Penn State would have missed tackles. Right. There were a handful of missed tackles that led to plays. Oregon was able to stay on schedule, and that's why they were able to go for so many 4th and shorts throughout the 3 quarters of this game. Credit to Penn State, they did come back. I thought the game was over. A lot of people in this stadium thought the game was over. So I'm just telling you like I saw it. They got off the mat. That's a consolation prize, and I don't think we do consolation prize. Maybe in the era of the playoffs you could say that, but the record, you are what your record says you are, and James Franklin is 4-21 against the top 10 opponents in his tenure here at Penn State, and it's been a while since he's been able to knock one of those off.
And he said, as he has said many times, I own it, I get it, I understand why people are saying, and I asked him about, is it reasonable to think the non-conference schedule did not prepare you for this?
Excellent question, by the way. I thought that was an excellent question.
And I think that's what a lot of people out there in that parking lot right now, who, if they were sitting in there, would have asked that question.
A lot of national media are going to be saying that, and pundits and a lot of opinion speakers throughout this next week. Yeah. Penn State plays a top-ranked team. They play cupcakes through the first 3 games of the season. They go down at home as a home favorite.
It's not crazy to think that was caused this to be a rude awakening, and especially, I think, for their offensive line. I thought their tackles did not play well. Nolan Bucci and Drew Shelton, I thought both had tough nights. That was the surprising part to me. If they could have run the ball a little bit better, it's easy to see them getting through this.
Big game, let's dive into Drew Allar a little bit. Big game Drew Allar. That first throw, sky high, lobbed, 8-yard loss. I'm not sure if it was the first throw or not. It happened so long ago. It was early in the game. That's a throw a 3rd-year starter, senior cannot make. It was dangerous, could have been picked off, it just shouldn't have been thrown. To me, it almost was like a sign of how the night was going to go.
Yeah, and I was funny. I was driving up here. I was listening to a podcast. Todd McShay was on this podcast, and he was talking about how different quarterbacks, and he mentioned Drew Allar. He said Drew Allar's not accurate enough. It's that simple. There's some things about him to like. He's not accurate enough. He wasn't accurate enough tonight. It's that simple. There were times when people were open, and he didn't even really come close. It's a problem. It's a problem for them going forward. The fact that they kind of sort of had a chance to win this at the end, maybe sort of salvages the fact that going forward you can still make the playoff and all that stuff, but it doesn't Band-Aid over the problems they have.
No, it doesn't. It does not at all, and it just feeds into more of the talking head monster that is the national media that will drive a narrative towards this team. That if this team goes down to Ohio State, there's going to be a lot of chirping that a 10-2 Penn State team does not make the college football playoff.
And that's one reason why the non-conference schedule was important. If you go into the end of the regular season with 2 losses, and that committee is comparing 2 lost teams and resumes, that non-conference schedule might factor in. That's why this game was big. That's one reason why this was a big game tonight.
I talked to a lot of Letterman before the game. The word peak came out, that if not now, when? And that this was a must-win game for that particular reason. That's not me saying that, Andrew Clazier on the pod. That's coming from Letterman that I spoke to walking through the parking lot, that have relationships. I've overheard it down on the sidelines. After the game, I heard, tired of this crap. It was more
A lot of frustration. Yeah.
The fans frustrated. There were boos, audible boos throughout this entire game, and it was not pretty walking off the field. It was not pretty walking off the field.
17-3. This crowd had kind of turned ugly.
Yes.
And some of them had started to leave.
Yeah.
It was kind of remarkable the way Penn State turned it around. For one thing, by Devontae Ross getting behind the secondary when Oregon was playing deep coverage. And that's the last thing they wanted them to do. That's what kind of started their comeback.
The play call with Andy Kotelnicki. I talked about it that everything started off great with Mike Yurcich. And then all of a sudden, it was, we didn't call the game as what we wanted to, and the writing was on the wall that Mike Yurcich wasn't going to be here. In comes Andy Kotelnicki. Everything is going great. Did Tyler Warren cover up that many deficiencies? Because there's a guy who...
That's not a crazy thing to say. That's a fair thing to say.
That's... Okay, so a lot of the social media, where are the wide receivers? Where are the wide receivers? Hudson did it at USC. Pena did it at Syracuse and caught a ton of football.
And some of the guys who have left Penn State are doing it else.
Harrison Wallace III. I mean, is it reasonable to think that something is not being called correctly? Is it that conservative? This is a joke, but somebody tweeted at me, I've seen MAGA rallies less conservative than Penn State's game plan here tonight.
Well, I mean... one thing we can say for sure, the direct snap to the Wildcat, to you're playing 11 against 10.
Yeah.
Because you can see defenses ignoring Drew Allar and reading the play.
Change the offensive coordinator and make that offensive coordinator Jay Paterno. This fan base would be in an uproar. Pitchforks and gasoline torches would be out. And by the way, that was a political joke. We are not political. I was just saying what somebody tweeted at me.
We got you.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
We got you.
But yeah, I mean, there's just so many things to take. Deny Dennis Sutton. I asked him, what's the message to the fans? He's kind of like, we got to show up. We got to show up. You know, defense did show up.
And I talked to him too, and he is a great football player and a great competitor. And he was great tonight and just missed several sacks. I mean, they didn't really get the disruption of more that they needed to. They came close, but he played a great game.
Wilstein, good game plan, rolling away. Zariah Fisher at times created some chaos and did some things. I thought the defense got worn down. I don't see how we could say anything other than that. We held Oregon to 17 points.
And that's one thing that Denai did not want to copy.
Yeah, and he didn't want to say anything.
As long as I can walk, I'm going to play. And I was out there. I mean, he wasn't buying that, but I think that's fair. I think that was a little bit they got worn down. But generally, they were great, and they are the reason to have optimism if you're a Penn State fan going forward. I thought Jim Knowles, on balance, won the chess match with Will Stein, on balance, over the whole course of the whole game. And their defense looked legit. Amari Campbell had a great game and really now looks like the quarterback of the defense. Really evident.
Touching on one thing, the fumble recovery and return that was then overturned, I don't believe it decided the game. There were plenty more things that decided the game. Penn State not playing well offensively, first and foremost.
Yes.
That being said, it is a turning point, and I'm not criticizing anything. I believe in always giving the benefit of the doubt to on-field officials. Case in point, Penn State, Indiana coming during COVID. I believe the call on the field should have stuck. replay, I don't think it was that close. I would have stuck with the call on the field. The same thing here, and the reason for me with my officiating background is I didn't see any grass coming up with that knee, like any blades or any like moist, anything like that, and I didn't see grass move. The camera's not straight down, the field is curved, it creates an optical illusion.
It's an argument because, it's an argument because it wasn't conclusive that his knee was on the ground as opposed to being a quarter of an inch from the ground.
I bring it up because it is a talking point. I don't believe that determined Penn State winning or losing this football game. You're in overtime at home with all the momentum. At some point, you have to close out.
And also, there were some holding non-calls. We talked to Sutton after the game about that, and he certainly said, "Hey, man, I get held all the time, but this was really bad." Now, that's the kind of thing that you notice for the team that you're paying attention to, and maybe don't notice for the other side as much. So
and the one was pretty bad out here at I believe it was around like the 30-35 yard line.
There was a couple that were pretty flagrant, and he's out so wide that a lot of times it is kind of a one-on-one thing, and you can really clearly see it.
Some positives for Penn State to take from this, especially defensively. Offensively, not a lot. I've heard comparisons to 2007. I've heard comparisons, Drew Allar, Anthony Morelli, another top quarterback recruit, back in the day here at Penn State. These are comparisons, and at this point, it's fair. I mean, you try not to be too rough on these college kids, but they are getting paid to be here. The times have changed a little bit, and at some point in the NFL, it's, are you worth your paycheck? Are guys living up to what that dollar figure is?
Yeah, I don't think that's unfair. I mean, they've got to figure some things out offensively, and it's pretty clear now that they have more than maybe we would have even imagined a month ago. A month ago, we were thinking the offense was going to be better, and let's hope the defense can figure it out. Yeah.
Shocking. It goes back, again, to Tyler Warren. Did he cover up that many deficiencies? A lot of trickeration and different formations. It's all nice. It's all, it's all fun and games until, as somebody once said, it's all fun and games until somebody gets punched in the mouth.
Except for this. Think about how well their offensive line played against this opponent last year in the Big Ten championship game compared to what we saw tonight. That's the part that is really baffling and troubling if you're a Penn State fan.
Was that much put on tape that Penn State hasn't adjusted to figure out what to do with the offensive line? Because that was what we were saying. The offensive line would power this team forward.
And it was reasonable.
It hasn't been happening.
Yep,
So
that's for sure.
for Mike Gross, I'm Andrew Callisto. Frank Bonanni, he's in there writing. We got double podcasts dropping this week. I think we're going to drop a next one. Penn State head men's basketball coach Mike Rhodes joins the podcast. Great 40 minutes with Coach Rhodes. And then we are prepping for UCLA and a trip to the Rose Bowl. Probably will be about 30,000 fans there. Most of them will probably be Penn State fans. UCLA is in a tough spot. Who knows who's their quarterback and as guys entering portals or whatnot. As
far as of today, the guy from Tennessee was their quarterback, and they lost to Northwestern.
Okay. Yes, the NIL checks probably cashed then, I guess. All right, as I said, Mike Gross, Andrew Callisto, Blue White Tailgate Pod. Make sure you're following us. You guys help us out. Tell your friends about this podcast. We've got great alumni coming on. We've got LeVar Arrington, OJ McDuffie, Landon Tagwell is everywhere on social media. Zach Mills. Not a lot of podcasts are bringing in those type of guests. We continue to bring out the best guests we could possibly get for you. Have a good one. Like and share as well.